think you are good.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll call this meeting of the Downtown Development Committee to order at 3:03 p.m. Thank you all for being here. I'll start with the land acknowledgement. I acknowledge with respect that we are in Robertson Huron Treaty territory, that the land on which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and known as Powhatan. Powhatan is the home of Garden River First Nation, Batchewana First Nation, and the historic Sault Ste. Marie Métis Council. So the next item is the adoption of the minutes from our November 10th, 2025 meeting. May I have a motion that the minutes be adopted as printed? Seconder? Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we'll move on. The agenda be amended to move items 5.4, leverage empty retail space for experiential marketing campaigns, to item 5.1, and that the agenda be adopted as amended. Moved by. Seconded by. Okay.
You can ask why we would do that?
Yeah, Travis here has another appointment, and he was scheduled to be about midway through. Usually, we'll let guests go up in order so they don't have to sit through all of the minutes.
Okay, so that'll put it at 5.1. Leveraging empty retail space for experiential marketing campaigns. I'll invite staff to speak on this item.
Travis is our director of tourism. For anyone who doesn't know, Travis, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Am I expected to speak on that?
There was a motion that was passed a few weeks back at council in regards to our vacant properties through the downtown core, trying to find a way to beautify the area by leveraging community partners and their resources or materials. So the best example I can kind of have of that is going through the mall. Maybe you see a school board where they have all of their artwork from the grade 6 class doing X, Y, and Z. And you would see that display inside of the mall. So the idea was to talk to partners, tour guides, operators, school boards, tourism, to see if there are any larger scale displays, of merit to the community that we can use to put inside of locations that are looking to be filled on a store level. So this is something that we did 6 years ago with the Downtown Association. We did partner with tourism. We did partner with a heritage conference that was coming through. So we put some heritage displays up. So we're looking to kind of reevaluate that piece of programming and get it up and running in our downtown core again. So we're super early in the stage, but the motion was approved at council. So we wanted to bring it to the Downtown Development Committee because we think it's of relevance. And there could be some legwork that could come out of this for staff by March. Any comments or questions on that?
No, I guess I'm assuming it's a year-round initiative, so like seasonal programming, if you want to call it that.
Yep.
In the empty storefront. Now, are the stores kind of open that people can go in and look around, or is this just strictly here's the window, we're putting it up and you can walk by and look at it and that's it?
Yeah, it would be like window display for sure. Yeah, just because if you think about all the constraints in regards to something wanting to.
No, I get it.
Yeah,
you got to staff it.
Yeah,
I guess that.
Could we also use it to ask non-profit organizations to also help?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Sorry, I'm on my phone at the same time. We have a board member trying to also trying to assist as well.
Do we have a sense from the original BIA how many storefronts there may be that would be available and whether or not those individuals would be open to this?
Yeah, I would probably say it's very similar to the graffiti removal program that the BIA had, right? You had, all these downtown storefronts and you probably had about 23 businesses signed up to do that. Historically, from what I remember, it was 5 to 10 that participated. And it was kind of a rolling intake though, because you would have a business get rented, which is the goal, to have the
Mhm.
property be rented out. So my gut says maybe the same number, maybe a little bit more, because we're dealing with a broader definition, we're dealing with the city's definition of downtown, but not really this time,
Yeah.
to be honest. That's the best answer I can kind of give with 6 years,
Yeah.
kind of past.
And so what, I guess the property owner would get some sort of fee in order to open up, or are we asking them to volunteer the space to make it look nicer?
We don't know yet. That's a great question, but I mean, it was volunteer based in the past, and I think it'd be great to maintain that volunteer base if you were to ask me.
So I'm just gonna clarify based on my assumption. So these windows
Mm.
are for businesses that are not currently open. So they're vacant buildings. We would just have posters or something to that effect in the storefront, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not, maybe feasible, but like, we're talking about tourism, my gut would say maybe we use the display that are used at trade shows 3 times a year, well, for, 2 months out of the year okay, well, you know what I'm trying to.
So, yeah,
It doesn't
100%.
have to be
So I think. I'll throw it out, like, we have ideas that we could implement, but what does the board here want to see? Does anybody here have any ideas?
Well, the reason I asked why we're removing it, because I think that, determining what our purpose is first,
Hmm.
the first item is really important, because anything else, if it doesn't align with what we're trying to do, then.
Why are you considering it?
Right, and it would help, to make decisions and to come up with ideas and alternatives or whatever, if it aligns with everything we're trying to do. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't think it's a good idea, but I just don't know if that's, or how to approach it.
Yeah, and Dennis, if you don't mind me sharing what I shared with you today, the larger board is something to be cognizant of as we kind of put the vehicle together, put the tires on the car, is that you still have council and you still have vested people who are focused on the downtown. It's not like the city is just inventing to be cognizant of the downtown right now. So we're in this kind of transitional area where you have people with a vested interest in the area that are trying to make good decisions about downtown and further downtown, as we also kind of get on the road. So it's a little bit of this overlap and a transition phase, and councilors are always going to have interest and investment in downtown. So it's kind of what's happening right now is you have somebody who brought this idea forward, and because it's pertaining to downtown, the community should be aware of it. And absolutely should be putting thought towards it, but that's kind of what we're seeing right now. It's kind of those layers of, management, governance, and care in the area.
Yeah, if I could just, Madam Chair, add to that, even if our focus and structure was, fully sussed out, this would still be before us because council's asked for it to be before us. So at any time, council can say, in addition to what you're regularly doing, look at this, and that's what this is.
Yeah, I just think having goals, KPIs and all that set would help us make the right decisions when we're approaching these things.
Mhm.
It's not that I don't think it's a good idea. I just think, depending on what we're trying to achieve.
Okay, well, that gives us a good intro into 5.2. So,
We'll just real quick does anyone have any other comments in regards to the window display? Right now it is being brought forward as information. Staff is going to join, have a few meetings about it and bring more forward in January. This is just kind of a preliminary. Here's where we're at. In fact, Bree and I have a meeting with Alana, the manager of tourism, next week to discuss, so.
So will the recommendation come back to this committee to then inform council of what was recommended?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna take it back internally as a staff, discuss, kind of get an idea of maybe hierarchy of how we should approach and what should be in those windows. We'll come back to this committee and discuss it in January.
I had one thing.
Absolutely.
I was in Detroit this summer and they did the same thing, something very similar. And they would have a map of transit or whatever, and there were full window displays, like full vinyl and totally branded. And it was great. Really added to the overall brand of the downtown. Made it really cohesive. So you know, if it's done right, it can look great for sure.
Okay, we can move on to 7.2. Okay, so under the business arising is a strategic priority roundtable. This is an opportunity for each member to share the priorities they feel should be highlighted as we align with our terms of reference.
Yeah, can I speak to that?
Yeah.
I'd love to. So, last month we had the opportunity to do some table setting, sharing, background of what got us to the committee. So the idea was if we, took 20 minutes today, for a roundtable discussion, since it's a new committee, I wanted to give everyone a chance to share, priorities. I shouldn't say I wanted to give, the chair agreed that we should give everyone a chance to share priorities that they feel are important. I've had the opportunity to speak with most of you individually, but I think this will help us hear those ideas together as a group. So we'll set a timer. I'll capture those ideas shared together, put a document together with the suggestions and how they align with either our committee's term of reference, where it may align with work of other municipal departments, or where staff may already be undertaking similar initiatives. And I hope that'll help kind of clear the scope of work for the committee. Understand the role of the committee, avoid duplication, and identify where we can have the most impact as a committee. So that's what we heard from a lot of committee members, the fact that it was great to have an understanding of where we got to, but now how are we moving forward? So I'm happy to just kind of take a timestamp so we don't inundate everybody's time, and I'll be capturing this information, and like I said, I'll follow up. Yep.
Anyone want to start?
I have some notes.
Yeah, sure.
So just writing down what our goals could be or should be from various literature leading up to this. So this safety, I guess if we could do business surveys for safety perception or something like that. That's something we can measure. Activity, increase events participation, sure, well, the overall condition and cleanliness. Increase businesses, lower vacancies, and facade improvements. Better communication, through member engagement, surveys, sort of thing. And then downtown waterfront connection. So those are some of the key points that I took from a few sources. So it's 6. We can start there. Taking part. In my opinion, safety is probably number 1. I don't know what we can do specifically for that, but I think that's the key. A lot of the issues with downtown.
I think a lot of it's like reputation though as well, like, I mean, living downtown, like, I don't feel as if it's really that much unsafe in other parts of town. I feel like a lot of the negativity towards downtown is reputation based, so I feel like, you know, changing that branding of the downtown, having that better reputation would help.
I completely agree, 100%. I live downtown, I walk downtown with my spouse and I, yeah, fine.
It's fine.
For the safety, it's honestly, what my concerns were, those who don't live downtown. And of course, the reputation, you know, and how they perceive when you're walking downtown.
Yeah, exactly.
So perhaps we can measure that with surveys through visitors and businesses quarterly, something like that, and just get that perception and see if it's improving or not. That's the way to tackle it.
And then work on improving, because of, if we're experiencing that, then there are tourists who are also.
I live downtown too, and I also agree that I feel safe for the most part. I mean, you're gonna feel that way in any city, but I also agree it is a perception thing. Yeah. So.
Did we just do downtown safety.
Yeah, I was gonna speak to
Survey.
that. So we have a community safety wellbeing plan that can be presented in the new year to the community. So we've been working closely with social services and all the stakeholders in the community. A lot of dialogue has happened and community consultation. So that'll be presented, provide a nice framework of some of the key things that can be worked on in the near future. There was also a homelessness strategy that was done by our social services department as well. So that'll also work its way through the GSAB.
That was just done.
Yeah, this is just done with a company called Oracle Code that we just did, so we have to do it so many years, it's mandated, so the city's leading the community safety wellbeing plan. And then the DSAB or social services is leading homelessness strategy, so that'll come and that'll be something that we'll be able to look at. And just to add on to, there's a few things that you may or may not be aware of, you probably heard about it, there's obviously our community ambassadors that we have through CMHA that are heavily patrolling regularly. We also have our downtown foot patrols that got approved last night to extend for another year. We also work closely now with Division 2 and the things that they're starting to try to do downtown to have some of their presence. So we're working closely with them as well. I agree as well. I walked downtown at night and in daytime, and there's challenges, people, but I don't feel unsafe. I don't find that as a normal thing. There are things that happen. Yes,
Yeah.
that's pretty common along most municipalities. So we do have avenues to deal with situations as well.
I'm glad we all think so positively of our downtown.
I live downtown too, and I don't feel unsafe, but it's perception. Sure.
Yeah.
So should we just not worry about that then? It seems like this is all being taken care of.
Yeah, I don't know if you can take it off your radar. I think you should still have it as your radar.
Right.
There's gonna be input, like once this comes out in the safety wellbeing plan, there's gonna be action items and deliverables from that. So it's something that you can monitor to see if there's things in the downtown core that you always hear as a group to review things and provide advice, and there's a big opportunity to mention what's happening within the community.
Sorry, I was wondering, I asked the question, not to take it off the list, to see if we could use that survey as a benchmark for improvement. So I do think the surveying of businesses every so often is a good idea, but do we have a survey we can use as a baseline?
Yeah, we have a couple. We just did one with Flash Vote. So we have a focus group that we have with 300 individuals. So we've done 6 of them this year to date. So we do have those survey results that I suggest you share with the group. So that's through Flash Vote. We also have a larger community survey that we can also share. So maybe a deliverable for the next meeting is to bring both those surveys forward for the group to review, and you'll see some of the trends, because the perception is exactly what you said about people maybe saying they may feel unsafe, but then individuals around here, you live here. That's perception, but what is reality? So it's interesting to see how people view things. So, and the 2 surveys are a little different. One is a focus group of just 300 individuals, and the other one is broad across the community. So there's even differences amongst the 2.
Awesome. Now, one question, are these communicated to the general public?
Yeah.
Anyway, because maybe that's where it is important to keep it to, I mean, for all of us to be so positive about downtown is great, but it's everyone else that isn't, and it's somehow getting this information out maybe in a few different ways so that they can see that studies have been done, and it's okay for you to go yourself downtown and see how you feel, because we've done these studies and X number of people have felt this way.
There's 2 ways. So one, the Flash Vote survey, after it closes, you look for 48 hours, and then if you completed it, you get the results right after. So immediately. The other survey is part of the community safety wellbeing plan, which results will be shared once that's released. So that has.
Okay.
I just wanted to say real quick is that I don't think anything being said, in the roundtable is necessarily incorrect in regards to what's important for the downtown development committee. Over and above, I will say it's a really good practice, because it gives us the opportunity to see the resources over and above this committee that the city actually puts to these factors. The work on the waterfront development is something that, although pertinent to us, we can't accomplish, but it'll be great to see. We think the waterfront development is very important as a committee. Here are the resources over and above this committee that the city's action towards. I think that's going to be a great thing to see, because it speaks the truth that, engineering services, or, these different pieces, these different cogs that harness us around the table. So give us kind of a larger scope and how we can be integrated into those pieces by not necessarily needing those pieces. We can identify what, okay, they will take care of that, we'll take care of this.
One thing, if I may add, you nailed it with respect to connectivity to the waterfront. So we do have as one, a part of our development plan, like for those main four corridor, like Broad Spring, and like to connect the waterfront. So that is the focal point to make sure people are flowing north, south as well as east, west.
So maybe that, when something like the storefront thing comes to table, then we can think about that and then say maybe we could promote, this way to the waterfront or something. Or something better than that, but we'll tie that in together.
Do either of you guys have anything to add?
Are you referring to us, I assume?
Sorry.
No, not at this point. Thank you for calling us. So
If you want, you can just wave and someone behind me will tell me to look behind me.
okay.
I'll note, Andre, I do have your list and I will integrate that into the document as well.
Okay, thank you. I'm just having difficulty with the technology here, so I think I'm connected now, and I'm trying to catch up to the conversation. So I suppose that the list that I provided will cover a lot of my ideas, and if there's any question, I can elaborate. But I do have, I would like to expand on a lot of those points but maybe today's not the day to do that, and maybe we could do that. Or we could take one of the points and take it from there. But I suppose I just would like to see what other folks feel about some of those points that I think should be priorities.
I appreciate that, but I will say if you're joining us a little later, we put a 20-minute time stamp on this item. So what I'll say is if it's okay, I'll integrate it into the document for everybody. And we can extrapolate on that in the new year, if that's all right.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I just want to add one thing, because by the sounds of it, I'm unique in the sense that I have no real ties to downtown business or living wise. And I could attest to the fact that the social issues that are perceived downtown exist uptown just the same. So that's not unique to downtown. So that perception, right? I think the greater perception when I ask, friends, family, I said, okay, I'm on this committee, shoot things at me that I can wrap my head around, that I can talk about, stuff like that. I think the biggest perception with downtown, especially since kind of the mall declined, so it's not a hub like it used to be, is that people have no reason to come downtown, or at least they feel the perception is that what am I going downtown for? Right? So I think the challenge is going to be for us, if we're expanding the footprint of what's considered downtown, is how to bring all those different things together to say, this is why you go downtown, right? Because sometimes, for example, people may not associate, going to an event at the machine shop over there as going downtown, right? Or they may not associate going to a Greyhound game as going downtown, even though you're going downtown, right? So, and I think that's got to be part of the conversation, that if you're going to change the perception, is how do you connect the area, and what are the things that we're going to talk about that says this is why you go down there, right? Like I don't know, maybe it's my own bad attitude. I think myself again, I don't live downtown because I got to drive anyway to go to the grocery store, right? So why am I going to go down there? And I'm going to, so I got to change my perception of why I would live and play and work and do all the things that keeps people in that neighborhood, in that community that we try to put together as downtown, right? So I don't know. I don't know what the combination of things, but I think, if we're talking about what's this committee for, is how do we join the different areas that we're going to call downtown, from the core, Queen Street, essentially to say, well, it's not just Queen Street, but it's these other areas too. And these are all how all these areas are connected, or these are how you can navigate these places, or these are the things that are going on in these places and stuff like that. And I think like publishing this list is great. Like I've often said as a hotelier, you know, when people come to me and say, oh, what's there to do, or, you know, I can point them to the cultural attractions and all that kind of stuff. But it'd be great to say, hey, log into this, go on our computer in the lobby over there, log in. These are the things that are going on today. To connect outsiders to our downtown.
Are you saying maybe that there should be clear boundaries, also like physical boundaries on the border of what is defined as downtown for like out of towners and?
Well, I don't know, like I said, like. When, for a long time, when we talked about downtown. At least for myself, right, speaking for myself, you thought of it as. I'm going to Queen Street, okay, well, what am I gonna go do on Queen Street, right, okay, if there's a. You know, whatever sidewalk days or, you know, some of those things, sure, you go down there and stuff like that, but what brings me there? Or what would continuously bring me there, or make it a perception of saying, okay, well. Instead of. Going to Walmart, it seems like. I walk by there all the time. You take your life in your hands trying to go, you know, across the driveway there. To say, I'm gonna go hang out. You know, downtown and still get that experience. I walk, I see different, whether it's shops or stopping at the cultural attractions or whatever it may be, right?
We'll have to
So-
brainstorm some ideas on that. Do you want a few more minutes left on
I
this?
think it all feeds into Dennis's point about fewer vacancies, more events, fixing the perception, all of that should result in more people using it like that's a place to congregate, right? So,
The more fun we're having, the more people are gonna want
That's
to
right.
go down the track too.
like, I think picking at least a couple of these as kind of marquee events per month and making sure that we're not just having the event, but doing better on the event than the year before, right? Every year, I think more people, whatever, right? The more days that the event takes place, whatever. I mean, each one of these will be measured a different way, but obviously people is the key.
To add on that, I was gonna talk about basically the hours of downtown, but my one example was the trick or treating on Queen. Such a great event, like my kids love it. But this year I walked like entire blocks where no one was participating. And, you know, I know that businesses, I'm not blaming business owners, but I mean, maybe we can talk to them and, you know, figure out why they're not participating. Because yeah, you can bring people downtown, but then there should be more to do. That's a great opportunity for businesses, everybody to be open, to make connections. And then for everyone that's going downtown for that, they see it and it feels lively. But if you go there and you just walk through blocks and everything's shut down, it feels like your perception of downtown, where it's, you know, it's 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, when you're at work. And then if you want to go shopping, you have to go to Walmart or wherever because everything's closed. So, you know, maybe for that event, it happens at like 6 o'clock on a Friday night, and those businesses can, it's easier for them to stay an extra hour than be there. Maybe that's something we can figure out instead of trying to force something, maybe work with it. I don't know. I just like trying to get a breakfast on a Saturday downtown, like pretty much everything's closed. So if you're a visitor, what do? Like you walk out of the hotel and the entire downtown is pretty much closed, except for a couple marquee spots, which are great. But in between, it's vacant. Or on a Friday night, you go for dinner and you leave the restaurant and it's just ghost town.
Okay, does anyone else have any other points that they want to put to that? I think that puts us at the 20-minute mark.
Can I provide just a quick follow-up? So that if anyone has any more germinating thoughts they would like to share in regards to that document that I'll prepare, maybe I can put like a little 5-day timestamp. You can let it ruminate. Sometimes it's hard to have it right away. So if you have any thoughts, I'll circulate an email with kind of like a by this time. And then I'll start drafting that document for next.
Thank you, everyone. We'll move on to item 5.3. So the next item is the budget update, and I'll turn this over to Josh.
Yeah, this is just a very small update. It was encouraging to this committee to see all the hard work that city council and staff did last night with the approved budget. What I really wanted to point out was the addition of some resources for some public works and parks staff to be dedicated to the downtown core. It's preliminary, so we don't know exactly what that looks like, but it's resources over and above what we're anticipating for the best case scenario for the committee. So these dollars will go towards cleaning up our downtown and maintaining a level of cleanliness throughout the year moving forward. So I just wanted to share that very quick update, and when staff knows what that looks like, we'll be really excited to share that.
Maybe just add on a bit more detail. So what happened at council last night? So there's no impact to the tax levy. So there's 2 public works employees that'll be coming over and working to report under parks. So we'll be trading the whole downtown core, kind of like a park. So we'll have 2 dedicated full-time resources there. We also have part-time hours built into the budget as well for our maintenance. We have 2 summer students that'll be put in place as well. We have our new hire right here. That's right here today with us. And we also, council is also nice enough to put $50,000 towards the budget to help activate a little bit better to go towards potential graffiti removal committee to help deal with some of those issues, curb cuts, maintenance issues. So it's a fulsome budget. So the budget goes from $249,500 to $299,500 and positions the downtown in a good spot moving forward, I think, the next year.
Yeah, 50,000 I wanted to note, and downtown security patrols.
Downtown security patrols through another year, so 103,000, 102,000 to extend us through another year, which is very welcome.
Absolutely. And you had already touched on the fact that through the CMHA, we'll be continuing the ambassador program. So
Any questions? Clarification?
No, I'd like to ask the city folks, I always had this brainstorm that Queen Street becomes the pedestrian street. I know we talked about it in tourism. Cause I'll tell you, it sucks sitting on a patio and cars racing by you. When you're trying to, have a conversation, have a drink with somebody and the cars just come racing by. So I don't know, I know that's not an easy thing, but I just always thought it'd be, between East and Dennis or something, that you make it, even have a trolley going back and forth if people are lazy, they don't want to walk. Easier said than done, I get it. But what would it take to do something like that? I know there's planning, there's obviously big budgets and stuff like that, but.
If you have 2 drinks, you might not notice.
I will touch on a couple of things. We do have a double-decker bus that does go.
Yeah, I know that.
Tourism just supported, so yeah, and Queen Street was just phase 1 and 2 were just redone, so that would take a different approach at this point in time.
I would think so, yeah.
The motorcycle.
But it's not just the noise, if you're sitting on a seat, like, I see how some places make the effort to put a patio there, it's great, right? Cause it's a nice sunny day, it's great to sit out there. You're sitting near the road, you whiz by, so you get sandblasted. All the road, whatever, the dust that builds up on the road and stuff, it's not as pleasant, let's put it that way.
I've heard it proposed for a couple side streets, like
Yes.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
maybe-
I'd call the moonroof, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe. We're out there.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments? Well. Definitely not. No. Okay, so item 5.4, then next on the agenda is marketing and social strategy, and Josh, I will.
Yeah, I just wanted to give the committee an update in regards to some work being done by that. I'm looking across the table at you, kind of smiling, because I know that it's out of date because we have you on our committee right But this communication strategy is something that we put together city staff with the director of communications in regards to the transition of how we're going to get the message out in regards to activity downtown. So I'll just share the quick key points because it's submitted with you, but we've reviewed the BIA website and identified 10 pertinent tabs that we're going to be bringing over into the city's website proper. So if you think about activation at the Roberta Bonner Pavilion and at the Downtown Plaza and at the Old Stone House and the Ermitinger Clerk, you know, things that make sense to integrate into a downtown page. The second thing that we identified was that a lot of the communication that the BIA shared, we already share on the 11 social media platforms that the city already manages. So an example would be, you know, this event's coming up downtown, it'd be shared inside of our arts and culture social media channel, or you should dine here. Well, the tourism site has a complete list of dining opportunities inside of Sault Ste. Marie. So what we did is we kind of took a look at all of the communication that they provide on their channel and found homes for them to go inside of the channels that we already manage. And in the new year, our communications department is going to start working on letting the general public know where they should go based on the interests that they have. So if you're interested in events, you're going to want to follow this channel. So a carousel ad or an infographic or a video or whatever they think is most appropriate. We met with them just last week, so they're starting to put that together, and we plan on moving forward with that in January. In addition, seeing no sort of issues, they'd also like to do a little bit of highlighting about the downtown development community in the first quarter of the year, letting the community know, you know, maybe we'll be ready by the end of the first quarter with, you know, what we're doing KPI wise and things like that. So just almost a communication piece to let the community know that we're active, we're meeting, these are some people around the table, and these are kind of the first steps we're taking to provide value as. So it's just information piece.
Any questions or comments about that? Yes.
Is there any discussion about whether the plaza page that I think you probably manage would become a broader downtown social media page specifically, as opposed to specific to the plaza, specific to the downtown, kind of like the DPA's current social media?
Forgive me if I'm wrong. I believe we did have quite a few conversations about that. And at the end of the day, Tessa, who is our director of communications, thought it would be best to disseminate the information to those platforms. We kept going back and forth in regards to, you know, the BIA is downtown specific. But our broad definition of downtown means that the plaza gets mixed messaging out, you know, Ermitinger's over here. So renaming it after we acquired that many followers for that specifically gets confusing. Then you have people going down to a private entity, the GFL, coming to the plaza and Bondar. We just thought there was just a little bit too much confusion. I believe what you said, if the strategy on day one was to launch that and just run one, it makes sense. But retroactively untangling all the strings is going to cause a lot of confusion for a lot of time. And we think that there'll be more headaches to users coming down to the summer concert series of Bondar Pavilion at the plaza by accident.
Right.
Because unfortunately, there's already a little bit of that going on. She did allude to the idea that maybe a larger conversation in the future might need to happen, but right now the recommendation is to run it this way.
Could I ask a question about that too? Would it make sense then, seen as you're gonna have at some point to detangle these things? You know, start fresh, slowly sunset the other social media channels, redirect people who follow to a new page where you can disseminate. I challenge that I say from my perspective as a work value, right? and look at it from the outside, is to connect people to things, right? So if somebody's asking me about the bush plane, for example, right? And I say, okay, you can connect to their social media pages, here are their social media pages and stuff like that. But then they're only gonna get the information for that. Unless, you know, there's things built in to redirect to nearby attractions, right? So if we're gonna talk about the downtown and say, okay, there's all these great things to do downtown and stuff like that. I don't know that it's helpful to keep it siloed. I know that there's a lot of things going on, but I mean, I just don't, because then I'm asking people to connect to multiple things rather than here's the place you go to get all the info and all the stuff that's going on there and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know what the answer is. I'm not a social media user. I have no idea. I'm just,
But it speaks to the perception of, you were just saying, what is downtown versus Queen Street? If we're trying to change and re-educate people that this is what our downtown is, could this be something that would be with work or recommendation that this committee makes?
I'm interested to know about that.
I do think that there should be a downtown specific page, like just like a downtown district, like ranging from, you know, like from the Bush Plate over to the Canal District. Just because I feel like it works well when you have that like consistent, like concise branding for a downtown, then you can kind of, it helps change the reputation and perception as well. When you have like the branding like really designated to the downtown versus like the city of Sault Ste. Marie. But I do also think that the plaza should be kept separate because I do think that there is confusion there with like you said, like people showing up to the plaza versus the Bondar Center. But eventually I do think that the downtown district should have its own page and social media.
So, I mean, people that work in this field know better than I how to carry this stuff out, but is there a way we can create a social media channel that amplifies the plaza, the Bush Plane, the Canal District, all these other channels that already exist, so it can eventually develop its own material as well, but if you want to know what's going on in the space from the Canal District to the Bush Plane.
And I think there's enough content. I mean, like they do enough stuff where like that page would be filled with events. Like I think you could find enough stuff to promote for sure.
The other caveat that I'm thinking of is as a city managed social media channel. What are we willing to promote and not promote? Similar to the Tourism Sault Ste. Marie calendar, at a certain threshold, they don't accept those events to be on their calendar. So having a conversation of, you know, as a committee, as a municipality, where's the line?
Yeah, it made it easier, like not easier, but with the BIA, you had the members, right? So you kind of knew what, but you're right, it is like, how do you pick and choose, right?
I'm not saying that we can't
Yeah,
figure that out.
No,
I'm
yeah,
just
but
bringing
just
it up
say-
as-
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then as technically it would be a city run
Mhm.
social account. Are we putting up private businesses? And if so, how come we're not putting up X business up on Great Northern Road, right? So just
Mhm.
the checks and balances of that is what's in my head. That's all.
Yeah,
So until then, would the answer be, you know, if you have any visitors that are wanting the information, the city website will be what integrates all the information to start. So at least they have the arts and culture, any special events, sporting events to start, and that at least gives them their
Yeah.
different avenues to go. So
Like-
it is a one-stop shop
yeah,
to
like,
start.
typically speaking, I will do the search to avoid the confusion,
Yes.
right? So, but as it stands, like I've navigated it multiple times, so I'm comfortable with it, right? As it stands, you know, again, speaking from an outsider perspective, you don't want to jumble up the mess. You know what I mean? Like, you want to be able to quickly find what you want to be able to find based on what you like, right? Because when somebody says, what's there to do? I ask them, well, what do you like to do? Right? You want dining? Do you want, cultural attraction? What is it that you're looking for? Right? And then try to direct them accordingly. To say, okay, why don't you try this? Why don't you try these are clustered, these are close together, you can walk through those things, and kind of build a kind of a self-directed itinerary for that person, right?
And unfortunately, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of pages can stay on social even long after they're even active. So I know personally, I've tried to look up stuff for the bush plane, for example, for kid activities, and there's like 4 different pages. So I think that would just be an additional thing to consider when trying to put everything in one spot, or maybe that's a great way of messaging it to everyone. But again, it's a one-stop shop for X space.
I think ideally for visitors or locals, if there was one place, it would probably be the best, because, oftentimes if I'm downtown, my kids will go to a few different events or things, so it's nice to see what else is happening. You don't just go down for one thing, you'll bounce around. So if that was really convenient and easy for people, I think that would be the ultimate solution.
And not to speak out of turn for other departments, but I think there's a real agreement, like if you could turn off some of those sites and go like this with downtown, I think like that is what staff would want it to be.
You got varying levels of engagement, so the JFL Memorial Gardens, 30,000 followers, right, email list, and then follows a huge flow, and then you have the plaza just got around a few thousand people there, right, then you have the Bondar. So I think it's trying to drive everyone to the cities. Social, I think what Tessa said was like we have a good reach with our social media channels with the city, thousands, right? So I think that's where we want, the thinking was to get the traction there, because that's where most people visit.
There's also newsletters, so socials for people looking for information, but there could be specific, GFL newsletter. So if people want information on concerts or something, it could be a monthly list that, so a few of those for different things.
I think the common thing that we hear at the shop is people saying, well, I didn't see that advertised. And that is that problem where it's not all in one space. They may follow one page, they don't. They either use social media or they don't. They're going on the website or they don't. And it's not all cohesive, and they are advertised, but I think it definitely needs to have its own hub that everyone knows that's the place where you're gonna see everything for everyone in this.
Sounds like you landed on an agenda item.
Yeah.
Stand for a while.
I think it'd take up a whole agenda.
Well, I think probably from a committee's perspective, but sounds like we're asking staff to come back with a plan to have a social media landing spot for, well, what the city considers the downtown.
Yeah.
And how it's going to amplify existing messages.
And I think too, it could be a strategy to help, like Sophie said, like, there's people that are not savvy using it from a business perspective. Like, for example, I know I can step downtown, turn on my location on my phone, and I say, find me places to eat, and it'll map out all the places to eat. So if they have a presence, direct me to their sites and stuff like that. So I don't know if part of that strategy should include, education for businesses to help them drive people to their door, right? Because I might not know that there's a new cafe that just opened up downtown. I'm walking by, looks nondescript to me, and I keep walking, right? But, if I'm, like that's what I do when I go places. I turn on my location. I say, okay, let me see what's going on around here, and I make choices of where to go, right? So I don't know. I don't know if that could be part of the strategy. The tech people could probably figure it out better than I could, because I have no clue. But I've got to think, just from the way I use it, my phone and stuff like that, that we can help the businesses there, help drive traffic to their location. They can do things like flash sale that, like I know my phone, when I have the location on, it'll say, this person is having a sale, check it out, and it sends me a notification and stuff like that. You know, but I'm sure we can use that to kind of leverage the to help the small business guys downtown that don't have that that level of sophistication, drive people to their doors by doing that kind of thing.
It can definitely be done.
And just in terms of promoting or amplifying this just from private businesses, I think I don't see a problem with that, frankly. I know that Roger Brooks had a big piece on that in his presentation a number of years ago. It's like we have to stop letting that be a barrier to promoting good things happening in our city, right?
100%. And same thing, like we were talking about, if there's multiple events going downtown, like if it's being pushed, you have your, through the social media, you get notifications, like you said, right? You can say, well, I went down to the market in the morning, but hey, look, there's this going on here. Let me walk over since I'm down there already. Right?
It's like when there's a restaurant on the block and 2 more open.
Yeah.
It's not bad for business, it's great for business.
That's 100%.
Okay, we'll take that information with us. So are we okay to move on to 5.5? Okay, we'll now review the upcoming events scheduled from December through February, and Josh, can you walk that through us, please, or walk us through that?
I think the goal was to be a little further along, but we do have this events list somewhere.
Everyone's got it.
Last page, yeah. Thank you, sorry about that.
Josh, would you mind grabbing it?
Yes.
After I said everyone's got
We
it.
really tried to get them on as few sheets as possible, which made it a little.
Yeah, we're gonna have to provide, a better
I have one here.
formatted document, but we just ended up getting it just down the finish line. So this is what was requested of us. We made a comprehensive list of events that happened in the downtown core in 2025 and separated it between city-run events, downtown association run events, and do private events too? Sorry.
There's very
Yeah.
few that are private, but we put number.
You'll see with GFL. And if they were free and ticket.
Yeah.
So I don't have the stats right in front of me. I'm sorry. But you have, here they are. Thank you, Bree. Appreciate that.
Each quarter.
Yeah, so you have. Oh, sorry, I see. So we have hundreds and hundreds of every quarter. This was to give a perspective on what happens in our downtown proper every year. Mayor Shoemaker mentioned, just like the downtown plaza, we have it broken up in between signature events, regular occurring events, passive programming, and then we measure our successes off of the attendance. And each category has a different goal. So what we'll be doing is we're going to be taking this back and we're going to be identifying and coordinating with the different departments and their KPIs. In addition, we are going to be taking the Downtown Association event schedule, maintaining those events. Not all of them occurred this year based off of, situations that had been arising. But integrating that into the schedule for staff as well. So street parties, Moonlight Magic, things along those lines. So at this time, coordinating with the different departments and the different buildings, this is just a piece of information that we're going to clean up and provide kind of a list of what this committee and staff will do. I don't know if anyone has any questions. I know it's a very big document.
Almost need a magnifying glass.
It's a great list. Yeah, that makes a real difference.
And I feel like there's more too,
Well,
in my mind.
sorry, Sophia, I got excited. Not to speak to Mayor Shoemaker's comment about having a conversation about what our social strategy looks like, but this doesn't include all those small businesses that are doing
Mm-hmm.
concerts and patios and, you know, sales. That event, yeah, the size of this would be massive, if that would be.
No.
Yeah.
Any like private business, smaller business or this.
No, you have,
Small, like for,
oh,
like small for, like certain events, but not a specific business,
Hmm.
like Outspoken or, you know,
So
anyone
class
else.
action.
Yeah,
Which is great, because
Yeah.
like this is the size of it without those.
Yes.
yes.
So.
Yeah, and those are huge events too. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is a really awesome
Yeah.
conference.
This should be posted.
And again, sorry for the small font.
No,
We didn't
no.
want like 30-page.
I agree, though. I think that whether.
Maybe just the stats.
Yeah, yeah. But whether it's the end of this year or it's the end of next year, to say, you know, wherever our threshold is, let's just use this document as an example, 525 events were held in your downtown in 2025. That's,
Amazing.
Yes.
and again, that's not citing private businesses investing in the downtown.
And that
That's
really goes to your perception, right? This is reality. It's me for this.
for sure.
One thing that I've done for a number of years in a row, and I think with this list, it's easy for whatever social media page ends up being born of this committee. Is it looks like there's enough here that, you know, either once a week or on a bi-weekly basis, you could put up a calendar on the social media
Oh, for sure.
channel that says, here's what's coming.
And even have it so like businesses can submit their events too,
Right.
so no one feels left out,
Right.
or like they're not being heard, right?
This looks a lot like the regular newsletters that I get from music venues all over Detroit, Toronto. I'll usually get something that looks like this that represents upcoming, you know, whether I'm interested in them or not, upcoming events. I think, you know, some of these are largely well reported on, well advertised already. The other events that were maybe, you know, excluded from this list just because of their scale, I think not only could we compile these into a calendar, put them in a newsletter. Anybody who wants to sign up, you know, they get that once a month or, you know, bi-monthly, however you want to do it. But it would be great to collect, you know, a supplementary list of the events that are not on here, because I think those are also extremely well attended, you know, whether it's music, whether it's arts and cultures, whether it's movies, but anything of value to our downtown that might bring, you know, there's already a magnetism for people to come down here. I think it's just find out, you know, just a great time frame to see it. And you know, we all have access to email. I think even some people who are maybe more technically challenged, like still have access to their email to read like a newsletter that's easily compiled. Yeah, that's just brought to my attention, like it looks exactly like one of the many kind of newsletters I get from events and venues around Canada and North America. So it'd be cool to see this for the downtown for sure.
Could we, so there's 500 opportunities to get feedback from people, because we talked about perception a lot. We're just kind of guessing, but maybe it would be like a really simple survey attached to these things where we can, you know, did you feel safe? Not that, but the things we want to gauge and we can measure, and then we'll have, you know, 500. We'll be able to see that almost in real time, how things are being perceived and if we're making a difference or not.
I'm all for not duplicating work, so there's something we can go on at the same time, for sure. Yeah.
Josh has built a calendar too, so he has a calendar, he started the calendar with all Plaza, there's also the Sioux Market has a calendar, so they've kind of been integrated, so they share that at least monthly or bi-weekly with maybe not the full community, but as much as you can, so that's a good starting point.
Well, there's, no, we just share it on social, but there's a breadth of knowledge and expertise in regards to this around this table, so I'm positive staff will be reaching out for some input that's following this meeting. So, somebody, I don't want to get too granular, but I'll just make this point. I think you mentioned businesses themselves submitting that's a great way to think about resources and staff allocation of time. We make the platform available. Businesses are more than welcome to use it, but.
Or it's a full-time job if you're searching for every single event in our
Right.
town.
Or-
I mean, yeah, I did it, so.
I know,
yeah, like,
exactly.
Yeah, it takes you,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot, for sure.
It's a good Tourism Sault Ste. Marie has that platform for their events. It's a great platform. I'm very familiar with it. And with the new city's website being launched, those capabilities are one-to-one. So it's gonna be very easy to potentially replicate that model in different parameters.
Yeah, the visual on the tourism website is very easy to follow.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we'll take that back and get started working on.
Sure, just a couple of questions. First of all, forgive my inability to make out the initials. What's BALC?
Oh, that's our active living, the senior center.
Oh, Day Street there,
Yeah.
okay.
We want to be wholesome in regards to our demographics.
They have awesome
They count
events.
as events.
They do really awesome events, and it's 55 plus, like, it's really not that senior, you know, like, it's pretty, it's open.
Sure. Excellent.
The other thing, I had an idea for you, Josh, and I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about it here. But I know, for example, through tourism, they promote those events like there's the bike races and with the trails and
Right.
all that kind of stuff. What about if we promoted, like, at the Olympics, they have their events, right? Then the medal ceremonies at night, they go into the Olympic Village, they throw a bash. Why can't the plaza be that? You got the stage there.
I don't mean to do that. We've done it twice this year.
Yeah. But that is gonna be pushed out more or whatever.
Fair.
because, like, you know what, like, I was thinking too, just. Cause I know there's the cross-country skiing thing in January.
Yeah.
And that's a great event to be able to say, okay, we could actually do medal ceremonies instead of doing it after the event. You make it an event in itself to attend, and it brings people there, right? It brings
Yeah.
people into the downtown, and it brings people for that final celebration before they go home and hopefully have a good memorable.
We've all, like, there's always more work that can be done, but the departments are working really well together in regards to that. And they've had one event where they didn't want to do their medals because the riders want to go home after that, but they did packet pickup down the plaza, and then they started their 200-kilometer race from the plaza. So we have been working together. In addition, the Ontario Winter Games bid also had a component that occurs in the plaza. So if we are successful on that bid, so I know there's only so many examples to point from, but we're definitely trying to have those conversations for sure. So I think that's an excellent point. Anybody who watches this, I hope more groups choose us.
Yeah.
Maybe Brad Jacobs will bring his medal there.
100%, like, like you live stream it, you know what I mean? So that people back home. They say, hey, look, there's Johnny getting his medal for finishing first in the race,
Yeah,
and-
yeah, no, I love it.
Is there, sorry, because we probably. Well, I guess we may meet before that, but are we planning to stream the Olympics?
Yes, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That could be,
So.
information, right?
Yeah, we actually have a sports day during the Bond Street programming, so we're gonna bring all our games out and then also have others. Yeah, so that'll be fun. Anyway,
Okay, any other questions? Good, okay, we will move on to item 6, which is our next meeting. Our next meeting date is to be determined. We can circulate some options. So are there any preferences or constraints?
I'd like to set up a recurring date, so we're not ad hoc and like all the time, because anything that works better or not.
For me, I'll just put out there, after doing their own better.
Yeah.
That's for me.
I definitely agree, because it would help us, who doesn't work,
Yes,
be able to schedule time
of
off.
course.
I'm flex, whenever works for all of you, same, yeah.
And yeah, like if you wanna do it like every. I think tourism was every third Tuesday or whatever the date is.
Yeah.
I know tourism was every third Tuesday at the same time, and then you just schedule it.
Doesn't sound like anyone has any.
We do Tuesdays.
Yeah. Like, this is the second Tuesday of the month right now, so that would put us at the 13th of January for the next one. So second Tuesday. Perfect, afternoon,
Yeah.
3 to 5.
Generally Tuesday. Okay.
You said.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's work.
Okay. Okay. So, I guess that brings us on to item 7.
I'll send a recurring calendar.
Thanks, Josh. Okay, so may I have a motion to adjourn? And second. All in favor? Carried. This meeting is adjourned at 4:08 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, no kidding.
I know you need to talk more.
Thank you, gentlemen on the screen. We'll see you later.
Thank you.